Hello everyone, Rick Clark here, and welcome back to our deep dive into the world of film music. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to Nick Squires, an incredibly versatile musician whose talents extend far beyond his role in the Imitation Games album series. Nick is a highly accomplished classical cellist, having performed for audiences of over 40,000 people and recorded with major names in both the pop world and the film industry. From touring with Take That and Kelly Clarkson to collaborating with the likes of Birdie, Westlife and the Pet Shop Boys, Nick has built a career defined by versatility and creative range. As a string arranger and dance music producer, Nick has contributed to high-profile sessions ranging from #1 chart hits to Hollywood soundtracks. He's even played for the epic Hans Zimmer string sample library created by Spitfire Audio. You might have heard his cello on UK chart-topping singles like The Promise by Girls Aloud or Gabriella Kilme's global hit Sweet About Me. And if you're into meditation music or lo-fi yoga beats, Nick's work has also been featured on Calm.com and Apple Fitness. On top of all that, he's deeply involved with London Music Works, where he's been a guiding force in the creation and production of the Imitation Games series, albums that reimagine iconic film, TV, and modern classical pieces with fresh arrangements and performances. Now, Nick and the team are gearing up for their 4th installment of Imitation Games, which promises an intriguing mix of composers like James Newton Howard, Hans Zimmer, Dario Marianelli, Michael Giacchino, Ennio Morricone, and more. Today, we'll get a behind-the-scenes look at how these albums come together and explore Nick's approach to breathing new life into some of the most beloved scores out there. Okay, Nick Squires, welcome to The Underscore. Welcome.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so I figured this would be a good podcast to do. We have worked together now, how many years? 4 years?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's got to be 4. Yeah. Around COVID time, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so Nick and I worked together. My role is a music producer at Silver Screen Records, which I don't think I've talked about before on this podcast, but that is why I review a lot of the Silver Screen albums that we've been recording over the last few years. And so Nick is responsible for all of the Imitation Games albums that we put out, and he is currently working on Imitation Games 4. So Nick and I actually did randomly know each other. Well, we didn't know each other. That's the strange story. We actually went to the same school at the same time, way back in Canterbury, and we actually never met there, right?
No, I can't remember. You.
So memorable, charming.
Yeah, savage.
No, I don't know. I don't know how we never really crossed paths because we were both in the same music department. So
yeah, we remember the same people. So there is a link somehow.
Yeah, and I, after recording with Silver Screen for it's coming on 20 years now, re-recording film music for our catalogue there. I ended up seeing Nick post a video on YouTube, and it was a Loki cover. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, it was the TVA theme, I think, and yeah, it was in those times, those heady times of COVID when we all had to find other things to do, and I started doing some kind of like 6 cello kind of mad videos yeah, and then obviously you kind of reached out to me and were kind of like, hello, and from that I started recording a little bit of cello for you, and then it kind of grew from that, really.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you initially were sort of helping me out with cello overdubs and recordings.
Yeah.
So actually, that's a good springboard to tell us about where your musicianship and early career started. Because originally you were, from my understanding, a session cellist. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not going too far back, but I went to the Royal College of Music, and when I left there, well, I did a postgraduate, and within that postgraduate started playing with the Royal Philharmonic, and from that I kind of got a load of extra work and started to play with other orchestras. So I got into the whole kind of orchestral scene first, and then from networking and meeting people, then the shows, West End shows and sessions came from that. So that's how I kind of got into the session scene, which is famously a tricky world to get into. Actually, one of my first film sessions was the Da Vinci Code, which was Hans Zimmer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was my first kind of like introduction to Hans Zimmer, and wow, it was it was incredible, because the session was, God, I can't remember how many cellos there was. There was like 12 double basses, I think 28 cellos or something like that.
Wow.
In Air Lyndhurst, and it had like a profound effect actually on me musically, because I'd been up to that point, I'd kind of been playing a lot of orchestral stuff, and I was big into Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky, and my kind of film music knowledge was limited to the kind of films that I'd seen as a kid, so like a lot of John Williams, being of an age now, 46, it's like Indiana Jones, like all those kind of things, and even Jurassic Park. So John Williams was like a massive part of my and everyone's I think growing up.
Yeah, big time.
But yeah, when I kind of when I played this Hans Zimmer, who now is like obviously the biggest name in the world, I was just totally blown away, and it was his use of all harmonics and like the lengthy kind of. I mean, to be fair, my arm was hanging off by the end of the day, because the long, slow, very quiet, which actually one of the hardest things for string players to do is to play really quietly, and that was pretty much what it was for the whole day. And then the other extreme of kind of massive kind of 12 basses, 28 cellos, slamming it out, and also actually the other thing which was so amazing about this session was it was a kind of who's who of the cello session world was there. And I'd kind of got in, the back door.
How did you sneak in? Yeah.
All right, mate. Jesus. Purely on talent. So actually being around those guys as well was just, pretty eye-opening to see people just, nailing things all the time.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that was an amazing experience. So. Yeah, that was my introduction to sessions. Yeah,
and by the sounds of it, really triggered some interest in film music rather than just straight classical music.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when I was at music college, I had actually started to produce using I started on Cubase actually, which is weird because I'm now completely Logic based for a sequencer. But I started writing dance music, like hard house and stuff like that, because I needed the Royal College of Music was so kind of orchestral based and solo based, and at that point really heavy on the classical, not really much other stuff. that you got out of there. So that was my kind of escape. And
interestingly, I don't think it's that way now, right? It's quite film music focused, from what I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably people like Hans Zimmer that have, really changed it. I mean, if you think about it, it changed Classic FM from what it used to play to them being, now what it is, which is there's a whole lot of film music on Classic FM, now and everywhere. And all the programming for concerts, all the programming for the biggest orchestras in the world.
Mostly film music now.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And it used to be looked down upon. I remember back in when I was, so this is about 97. I went to college. That kind of time. If an orchestra was playing film music, it was like, oh, we leave that to the BBC Concert Orchestra or to the Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra. Yeah. It was always that kind of thing. And now, obviously, you've got the biggest orchestras in the world selling out absolutely massive venues, playing Lord of the Rings along to the film and things like that, which I love.
Yeah, no, it's great. I try to dip my toe in that world a little bit too. But actually, talking of Classic FM, that's an interesting segue, because, in fact, I think one of your early viral moments involved Classic FM picking up on a video that you did, right?
Yeah. I'd say my only viral moment, but yeah. So, and I'm glad about that. But yeah, that was actually crazy. That was really, really random. Because I'm not a massive one for social media. I haven't really. I definitely back in when this was. It was about 2018, I think, something like that. And I was just out in Stourhead National Trust in Wiltshire, playing. We were just booked as a quartet to play for this wedding, and it unfortunately, or fortunately for me, it got completely washed out. And as a quartet, we were supposed to be playing for the ceremony, which was in this. It's called the Temple of Apollo, which is this incredible kind of temple within the National Trust estate. And unfortunately, because of the rain, they had to force all the people inside, all the guests, and they couldn't fit us, the quartet. So we just were just waiting under some tents. And afterwards, I just was like, oh no, one of the bride requested the bark, the solo bark, the prelude. Just, I said to Oscar, the viola player, I said, look, can you just grab my camera and just film this? Didn't think anything of it at all, so I just set myself up. It wasn't even planned for looking good or anything. It was just like, right, I'll go right in front of the Temple of Apollo, sit there with my cello, and I'll quickly play the Bach Prelude, and then we can send it to them, afterwards. So at least she's got it. Played the rest of the gig. Didn't even think about it. Sent it the next day, and they loved it, and it was all great. And that's it. And it sat on my phone in the photos for, I think, probably a couple of months or something.
Right.
And then yeah, I just needed something for a bit of a promo or something on Facebook, and was just looking back through the videos and found this video, and I was like, oh my god. And I just didn't realize that basically the framing of the kind of like the Temple of Apollo and the acoustic, because I was right in the doorway, so it had this amazing kind of acoustic, and then the rain just made this really cool video. So again, I just put it up on my page, and then the next day kind of got contacted by I think it was the BBC on the radio, just to go on the radio and just talk about it.
Yeah.
And then Classic FM picked it up and just did a story on it. I think to date the short version of it has had like 15 million views or something.
Oh wow!
Which is it's pretty amazing. Yeah. And from that got got all this kind of, suddenly I was like the cello in the rain, the cellist in the rain. And then from that, I started working with Calm, the mindfulness app, over in America. Just did a couple of albums for them of kind of cello in the rain, as it said, just arrangements for them. So pretty crazy kind of story, and it really helped me. I think even with our stuff that we do as well, because before then I was very much a cellist. That was my priority. That was what I did. Lion King, Wicked, orchestra. I didn't really. I'd been in a pop band. Actually, I'd kind of had enough of the orchestral stuff and joined a pop band. Done that for a while. So, I was very much a kind of a session cellist and all that. And and then because of COVID and the starting to do all these other arrangements and these albums and things, it got me really thinking about what do I really want to be doing.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting part about COVID. It felt like, especially for musicians, working musicians, where gigs were their main income. And for composers in film, because a lot of the film production shut down and nothing was happening. I think, as terrible as it was, I think it really did open up, opportunities for people too, because you had to think outside of the box. And, even just as a producer, having normally flown to various countries to record with orchestras, I had to figure out ways to record with different musicians. And that's actually one of the reasons that we ended up working together too, was, having to carry on recording and doing it remotely with, other musicians and friends. And you're definitely one of the people that has, in a way, benefited from that sort of change in perspective.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm just seeing that right across the board, to be honest, and it has profoundly changed the whole industry in so many ways. But yeah, for sure, and sessions and everything, Yeah.
So, talking about our working relationship, one of the main projects that we've kind of got stuck into were the Imitation Games albums, which is kind of an eclectic collection of film music and a few pop song covers in an instrumental way. Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about how that came about and some of your favorite moments from the series to date?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing actually how the albums have really kind of progressed, because when with the first one there wasn't really a formula as such. It was kind of, let's find some stuff that we love, a bit of film, a bit, as you said, a few covers. Definitely one of my favorite pieces that I've covered so far is on Imitation Games Vol.1, and that is the To Build a Home by a Cinematic Orchestra. And and that's done really well on with Spotify as well and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's the most popular track out of all of them so far. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah, by far. And it really just it's funny because it was actually almost like a kind of what I had been doing a bit before with the kind of, in COVID, with the kind of covers of things, but making these kind of covers, and then just I don't know. So I've always loved that song. I just think it's the most beautiful thing, and actually I was kind of worried because his voice is so incredible that I was kind of worried.
Patrick Watson, right? Originally sang that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, I saw Cinematic Orchestra play at the Royal Albert Hall many years ago, and Patrick Watson was there playing piano and singing.
Oh my God.
And I think it had kind of must have been recently come out. It must have been the same year that the album dropped, and I was like, immediately, damn, that guy's voice, just, he killed it in front of everyone at the Royal Albert Hall. It was just so emotional. So I hear you, like, to try and do that justice on the cello, you really did nail that, and it's certainly one of my favorite tracks on the albums too.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I'm really proud of it, definitely. But just the way that and just the way that it blended as well. Just it kind of really, that was great. I'm I'm getting, 'cause we've done so many now, and I'm trying to think of which Imitation Games has the John Williams on
3, I
Volume
think, yeah.
3, the Helena's theme from the Dial of Destiny. That was, I mean, incredibly hard to transcribe and work out and everything, but so rewarding to kind of put it together, and then to have one of the I think your go-to violinist,
that's right,
Will Harvey, to just kind of do it. He's basically doing an imitation of Anne Sophie Mutter, and it was just blew me away.
Yeah, I remember when you sent me that track, I was just like, damn, you guys, really did a great job on that. Beautiful playing. Yeah, not an easy one, as you say. And I guess the vibe of the albums sort of leans more towards a more sort of classical film music-y vibe with indie influences, I guess is the best way to describe it. Nothing too heavy, mostly in a romantic genre, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, we've definitely crafted it with, I think, a love that we both share kind of kind of music as well. So, and I'm definitely a bit soppy, a bit emo, and all these kind of things. So, and as far as, tugging at heartstrings, I mean, that's where I'm at. We've done a couple of, for sure. There's a few bangers. There's a few bangers on there. Even, a bit of the new Batman one and some other stuff. But in general,
still an emo vibe, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. But the Assassin's Creed, that's very cool.
Yeah, that was a bit of a strange
cool.
One. Yeah,
absolutely love doing that, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, for me, I just as well, because I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. You said like 20 years. That's a long time to be doing it. For me, this is, every day is a dream, because I've come into it late. This kind of I've kind of had that part, the kind of cello playing part of my career, and the performing, and then kind of come into this, with just this excitement, and I love it. Yeah.
It's been a nice process for me, honestly, because it's been a bit more of a collaborative process in, picking what tracks we're doing, and then in the post-production too. It's just been nice to be able to bounce off ideas with someone, rather than, just going to an orchestra saying, listen guys, this is our album, this is what we're recording. It's been great, because I think we do have a very similar taste in music, and it's been fun because we've both sort of surprised each other with tracks that we share a playlist on Spotify, and then sort of work on that between ourselves, and it goes through multiple iterations until we think, okay, this could be a cool album. And some of them have been surprising that I'd never even heard before, and I think vice versa for you. Some of those tracks I remember you hadn't heard, and it's just been a fun process, and I honestly think they're just getting better and better. So we're just gonna keep doing them.
I really do, and certainly on the newest one, there's I think there's definitely a To Build a Home kind of the Rooting for You, the London Grammar, I think really is really special again. So I think that could be pretty special. But it's funny you were talking about the collaboration and stuff, and with the one of the other albums we did that isn't IG4, the Succession album, the music from Succession, and we decided to get the a whole load of the strings recorded in Sophia, and that for me was really eye-opening, whereas you've done that for years and stuff, so to be part of that as well was a real kind of learning curve and stuff, so it's really exciting.
Yeah, can't really complain about his job. It's not a bad one, and sometimes you're just never sure how it's going to turn out, and it's just that process of polishing it and getting it out there and seeing positive responses, and it's just nice to breathe a bit of new life into these tracks and give it its own spin. It's been a lot of fun. So what is currently in progress right now? What are you recording?
At the moment, it's awesome actually. It's the music from the Witcher games, and actually a game. I'm not a gamer. I was never really that wasn't my thing. But I've kind of I actually didn't realise how many game soundtracks I actually listened to, or had things on playlists from games that I didn't even realise really were games. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you suggested The Witcher, it was quite exciting because I knew some of it, and I knew the vibe of the game obviously because of the series as well. So that's great. I mean, it's it's so different to say on IG4 we're doing kind of something from Interstellar, TikTok, these kind of things, and then having to do an album of kind of tavern music. And,
it's much more folky, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and great, and we went for a lot of live, because obviously the first two soundtracks are much more what would you say, sample based, synth based. They're kind of samples. Very early, and then the third the soundtrack to the third game, which I think is the kind of the OG game that most people seem to be the Wild Hunt, I think. Mm-hmm. Obviously then you really start to get a different style and energy, and the production is just so much better. So it's been really fun kind of crafting the tracks from the first two albums to get them to the kind of standard of the third, and using live musicians for the wind, and it's heavily guitar based. So name checking John Gregson on all guitars, mandolin, lute, what was the other thing? I can't even remember it. There's so many crazy instruments that he's had to play. And then Mikey Davis on all things wind, and one of the videos he sent me was he'd kind of turned, what had he done? He got a bass clarinet, and then turned the reed upside down to kind of get a particular sound, and things like that. So loads of pipes, loads of whistles, fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a good album, that one. And it's probably worth noticing that the idea is, once that one's finished, it's going to appear as a vinyl as well as on digital. So we'll obviously do another podcast on that album once it's all wrapped and finished. Probably a couple of months away still, I'd imagine. But stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
And after The Witcher, I think we have a little idea to do an album together for music from The Last of Us, which is going to cover the video games and the 2 seasons of the show. So that's probably also going to be quite a strange one because there's some unusual instruments in that score too.
Absolutely, but really, really exciting because the composer's incredible, and just as a musician and as a composer, and just listening to all of the tracks, from the newer stuff and the older stuff, it's really, really eclectic, and there's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy they managed to get Gustav to come back for the TV series. I think that was one of the things that really helped that show kind of feel like it's kept its integrity to the original game. I know they had to make quite a few changes to the script to make it work for a show, but that felt like quite the anchor in the show to the original games. So yeah, it's great that they got him back, and I think that's one of the reasons why doing an album of both, the TV show and the games is going to feel like it's going to be a nice cohesive product. So
yeah, absolutely, kind of just bringing it all together. So yeah, nice.
Okay, Nick. Well, yeah, I mean, this is really fascinating to hear about the process, and I know we're in contact almost every day about these projects, but sit down and talk and actually, think about it and how the relationship's developed and how we've been working together all this time. It's interesting for me too. So I just want to say thank you to you for coming onto the Underscore podcast. You are in fact our very first interview, so hopefully more to come soon.
Excellent. Well, honoured, obviously, and right back at you. Just great. It's great working together, and long may it continue.
Okay, mate. You take care, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks, man.
Well, listeners, this brings us to the end of another episode of The Underscore. I hope you enjoyed hearing this interview with Nick Squires. I'm planning on doing more interviews with composers, producers, and musicians working in the film, TV, and game world over the coming months. So do message me any suggestions of people you'd love to hear more from. And keep an eye on the Silver Screen website for updates on the release date of Imitation Games 4. I'm halfway through mixing the album as we do this podcast, so I expect it to appear in the next month. Until next time, this is Rick Clark signing off.